Look at her plate. No wonder she's the size of a house, my mother-in-law cackled, pointing at my modest serving of lasagna. Poor Daniel, stuck with a wife who can't even control herself around food. Before I tell you how that cruel family dinner ended with every single person at the table sobbing and begging for my forgiveness, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, what's the cruelest thing a family member has ever said about your appearance? Because what I revealed that night changed everything they thought they knew about me. My name is Rachel. I'm 34 years old, and I need to tell you about the night I finally broke my silence at my husband's family dinner and shattered their world with a truth they never saw coming. Let me start from the beginning, because to understand the impact of that night, you need to know what I'd endured for 7 years. I met Daniel at a bookstore. I was reaching for a cookbook on the top shelf, and he offered to help. Julia Child's Mastering the Art of French Cooking, he'd said, reading the spine. Ambitious choice. I like challenges, I'd replied, and his smile had lit up the entire store. I was a size 14 then, curvy but confident, comfortable in my skin. Daniel never made me feel anything less than beautiful. He'd trace my curves like they were works of art, tell me I was gorgeous when I woke up with messy hair and morning breath. For the first time in my life, I felt truly seen and loved. The problem started when he introduced me to his family. The Hartmans were particular. His mother, Evelyn, was a former beauty queen who still wore her hair in the same style from her pageant days. His father, Robert, was a successful surgeon who believed appearance reflected character. His sister, Jessica, was a spin instructor who posted daily about clean eating and no excuses. Our first meeting was at an upscale restaurant. I'd worn my best dress, a navy blue A-line that I thought was flattering. The moment Evelyn saw me, her smile froze. "Oh," she said, looking me up and down. "You're healthier than I expected from Daniel's description." Healthier, the polite way of saying fat. The entire dinner was a minefield. When I ordered pasta, Evelyn said, "Brave choice." When I accepted dessert, Jessica muttered, "Some people have no self-control." When Daniel took my hand across the table, his father actually said, "Son, we need to talk about your standards." Daniel defended me that night and every night after, but the comments never stopped. Every family gathering was an assault on my worth, disguised as concern. "Rachel, dear, I found this wonderful diet program," Evelyn would say, sliding pamphlets across the table. "It worked wonders for my friend's daughter. She lost 80 pounds and finally found a husband." "But I have a husband," I'd point out. "Yes, well, it's important to keep them interested, isn't it?" Jessica was worse in her own way. She'd post family photos on Instagram with captions like, "Family dinner, yung blessed bulik healthy choices," but would always crop me out or angle the camera so I was hidden. Once I caught her taking a photo of my plate to send to her fitness group with the caption, "This is why America has an obesity problem." Robert's cruelty was clinical. Statistically, Rachel, people of your BMI have shorter lifespans. As a doctor, I'm concerned about the burden this places on Daniel. Caregiving for an obese spouse is emotionally and financially draining. Through it all, Daniel stood by me. He'd argue with them, defend me, sometimes even refuse to attend family events if they'd been particularly cruel. But it wore on both of us. I began to dread family gatherings, would have anxiety attacks days before, would starve myself trying to lose even a few pounds so maybe this time they'd be kind. They never were. What they didn't know, what I'd hidden from everyone, including Daniel, was why I'd gained weight in the first place. 5 years before meeting Daniel, I'd been diagnosed with Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, PCOS. The hormonal disorder made weight loss nearly impossible and weight gain almost inevitable. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the other thing PCOS did. It made it extremely unlikely I could have children. I'd been engaged before Daniel. When my ex-fiancé found out about my fertility issues, he'd left. "What's the point of marrying a woman who can't give me kids?" he'd said. "Especially one who's going to get fatter every year?" So when I met Daniel, I kept it secret. I told myself I'd tell him eventually, when the time was right. But the longer I waited, the harder it became. And then I met his family, with their constant comments about my weight, and I became terrified that if they knew the truth, that I was not only fat, but also likely infertile, they'd convince Daniel to leave me. So I suffered in silence. Every helpful diet suggestion, every cruel comment about my size, every pitying look, I absorbed it all, letting them think I was just lazy or gluttonous rather than fighting a medical condition I couldn't control. The breaking point came at what should have been a celebration. Daniel had just gotten promoted to partner at his law firm. Evelyn insisted on hosting a family dinner to celebrate. Just immediate family, she'd said, which meant I couldn't even have Daniel's cousins there as buffers. Just me versus the Hartman firing squad. I tried so hard that day. I got my hair professionally done, bought a new dress, a size 16 now despite months of dieting, and practiced my smile in the mirror. "You're worthy of love," I told my reflection. "Daniel chose you." The evening started typically. Evelyn greeted me with, "Oh, Rachel, that dress is bold. Not everyone can pull off horizontal stripes." Jessica hugged me and whispered, "I have a great trainer if you're interested. He specializes in challenging cases." Dinner was lasagna, Evelyn's specialty. She served everyone else generous portions, but gave me a noticeably smaller piece. "I'm helping you with portion control, dear," she said sweetly. "You'll thank me later." I ate quietly, responding politely to their barbs, counting the minutes until we could leave. Then Evelyn brought out dessert, tiramisu, and placed it in front of everyone but me. "Oh, I didn't make one for Rachel," she announced. "I assumed she was being good tonight. Summer's coming after all, swimsuit season." "Mom," Daniel warned. "What? I'm being helpful. Rachel knows we only want what's best for her. And for you, sweetheart. It must be so hard having a wife who's let herself go like this." "I haven't let myself go," I said quietly. "Oh, honey," Jessica laughed. "You're what, a size 16? 18? That's the definition of letting yourself go. I mean, look at this family. We all take pride in our appearance. And then there's you." "That's enough," Daniel said firmly. But Robert joined in. "Actually, Daniel, they have a point. Rachel's weight is concerning. What happens when you want children? Obesity significantly impacts fertility and pregnancy health. Have you considered that you might be signing up for a childless marriage because your wife can't stop eating?" The word childless hit me like a physical blow. I felt my hands start to shake. Not to mention the example she'd set for children, Evelyn added. "Do you want kids learning that it's acceptable to be like that? To have no self-discipline? Look at her plate," Jessica pointed at my half-eaten lasagna. "No wonder she's the size of a house. Poor Daniel, stuck with a wife who can't even control herself around food." "Stop!" The word exploded out of me loud enough to rattle the wine glasses. Everyone froze, staring at me in shock. In 7 years, I'd never raised my voice at them. "You want to know why I'm overweight?" I stood up, my whole body trembling. "You want to know the real reason? Fine, let's talk about it." "Rachel," Daniel started, but I couldn't stop now. 7 years of silence had built up too much pressure. "I have Polycystic Ovary Syndrome," I said, my voice shaking but clear. "PCOS. It's a hormonal disorder that makes it nearly impossible to lose weight and very easy to gain it. I can eat bang 200 calories a day and exercise for hours, and my body will still hold on to every pound because my hormones are completely fucked up." Evelyn gasped at my language, but I didn't care. But that's not the best part, I continued, tears starting to fall. PCOS also means I'm probably infertile. Those grandchildren you keep talking about, Evelyn, the kids you're so worried I'll be a bad example for, they're probably never going to exist because my ovaries are covered in cysts that prevent me from ovulating normally. The color drained from every face at the table. I've known this for 9 years, I said, looking directly at Daniel now. I was diagnosed when I was 25. My fiancé before you left me when he found out. Said there was no point marrying a fat woman who couldn't give him kids. So when I met you, and you looked at me like I was beautiful, like I was worthy of love, I couldn't tell you, I was too scared. Daniel's eyes were wide, filled with tears. Rachel, and then I met your family, I turned back to them. And every single gathering, every dinner, every holiday, you've made me feel like garbage, like I'm some disgusting burden Daniel has to bear. Do you know what it's like to be fighting a medical condition you can't control, while people who are supposed to be your family treat you like you're just lazy? We didn't know, Evelyn whispered. No, you didn't know, because you never asked. You never once thought, maybe there's a reason. You just assumed I was weak, gluttonous, less than. You know what I ate today? A protein shake for breakfast, a salad with no dressing for lunch. I starved myself all day, so maybe, just maybe, you'd be a little less cruel tonight. But it's never enough, is it? I pulled out my phone, opening my medical app. You want to see what I'm dealing with? Here, my blood work. See that testosterone level? It's 3 times what it should be for a woman. See that insulin resistance marker? My body literally doesn't process food normally. I could eat nothing but vegetables and still gain weight because my body is broken. Jessica was crying now. I posted those things about you. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Sorry? I laughed bitterly. Do you know what your posts did to me? I have screenshots. My brother's wife eating again with a pig emoji. Some people have no self-respect. Feel so bad for my brother. Hundreds of likes from your fitness friends, all laughing at the fat girl who dared to eat in public. But the worst part, I continued, my voice breaking, is that I let you make me hate myself. I stand in the mirror every morning, and instead of seeing a woman fighting a medical condition with incredible strength, I see what you see. A wail, a burden, someone unworthy of love. Robert cleared his throat. As a doctor, I should have recognized the signs of PCOS. The weight distribution, the skin changes. I was so focused on judging you that I failed to see a patient in need. I'm not your patient, I said firmly. I'm your daughter-in-law. I'm the woman your son chose to marry. And for 7 years, you've made me feel like his biggest mistake. You're not a mistake, Daniel said, standing and pulling me into his arms. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm so sorry you've been carrying this alone. I'm sorry I didn't protect you better from them. I should have told you. No, he said firmly. You told me when you were ready. That's your right. But Mom, Dad, Jess, you had no right to treat her this way. None. Evelyn was sobbing now, mascara running down her cheeks. Rachel, I don't know what to say. I thought I was helping. I thought if you just tried harder. That's the thing about invisible illnesses, I said, exhausted now. You can't see them, so you assume they don't exist. You can't see my hormone levels or my insulin resistance or the cysts on my ovaries. You can only see the weight, so you judge based on that. The children thing, Evelyn whispered. I pushed so hard about grandchildren, and you... Oh God, you must have died inside every time. Every single time, I confirmed. Every joke about giving you grandkids, every comment about what kind of mother I'd be, every time you said Daniel deserved better, because in my head, I already believed he deserved someone who could give him children. I don't want children if it means not having you, Daniel said fiercely. We can adopt. We can do IVF. We can be happy just us. But I will not lose you because my family are judgmental assholes." "Daniel," Evelyn gasped at his language. "No, Mom. You've been assholes. All of you. You took a woman who's been nothing but kind, patient, and loving despite your cruelty, and you tortured her about something she can't control. You know what? We're done here." He started to lead me toward the door, but I stopped. "Wait," I said. "I'm not finished." I turned back to face them one last time. "You know what the real tragedy is? I'm actually an amazing person. I volunteer at the animal shelter every weekend. I mentor young women in STEM careers. I make Daniel laugh every single day. I've supported him through every career challenge, celebrated every success, been his rock through everything. But you couldn't see any of that because you were so focused on my weight. I run a support group for women with PCOS," I continued. "Do you know how many of them have stories like mine? Families who shame them, partners who leave them, doctors who tell them to just eat less and move more, as if we haven't tried that 1,000 times. We're not lazy. We're not weak. We're fighting our own bodies every single day, and we're doing it while people like you make us feel worthless." Jessica stood up, walking over to me. Can I hug you?" I nodded and she pulled me into a tight embrace, sobbing into my shoulder. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I've been such a bitch. I have a friend with PCOS. I know how hard it is. I knew, and I still... God, I'm awful." "The posts," I said quietly. "Please delete them." "Already doing it," she said, pulling out her phone. "All of them. And I'll post an apology, a real one, about how wrong I was, how cruel I've been, about PCOS awareness, whatever you want." Robert approached next. "Rachel, as a medical professional, I'm deeply ashamed. I let prejudice override compassion and knowledge. Would you be willing to educate me about your condition, so I can better help my patients who might be struggling with the same thing?" I saw sincerity in his eyes for the first time ever. "Maybe, someday, not tonight." Finally, Evelyn stood. She looked older somehow, diminished. "I've been a monster," she said simply. "I thought I was protecting my son, but I was just a bully, like the girls who made fun of me in high school for being too skinny. I became what I hated, didn't I?" "Yes," I said honestly. "You did. Can you ever forgive us?" I thought about it. 7 years of cruelty, of crying in bathroom stalls before family dinners, of Daniel fighting with them about me, of feeling less than human in their presence. "I don't know," I said finally. "Forgiveness isn't instant. You've done real damage, to my self-esteem, to my mental health, to my marriage. Daniel and I have fought more about his family than anything else. You've made me dread holidays and birthdays and any event where I had to see you. That doesn't just go away because you cry and say sorry." "What can we do?" Evelyn asked desperately. "For starters, educate yourselves about PCOS and other invisible illnesses. Stop commenting on anyone's body, ever. Stop equating weight with worth. And give me space. A lot of space." Daniel took my hand. "We're leaving now, and we won't be coming to any family events for a while. Maybe never if Rachel doesn't want to. You've lost the privilege of our presence." "But Thanksgiving," Evelyn started. "Will be spent with people who don't make my wife cry," Daniel said firmly. "People who see her for the incredible woman she is, not the number on a scale." We left them there crying around their dining table. In the car, Daniel pulled over and held me while I sobbed. 7 years of pain pouring out in great, gasping waves. "I'm so sorry," he kept saying. "I'm so sorry I didn't protect you better. I'm sorry you felt you couldn't tell me. I'm sorry for all of it. I should have told you about the PCOS." "Stop," he said firmly. "You told me when you felt safe. That's valid. But Rachel, honey, you need to know something. I don't care if we never have biological children. I don't care if you're a size 2 or a size 22. I love you, the person who makes me laugh until my sides hurt, who leaves me little notes in my lunch, who dances in the kitchen while cooking, who cries at dog food commercials. That's who I love. But your family... Fuck my family, he said, and I'd never heard him sound so fierce. They showed their true colors tonight, and honestly, they've been showing them for years. I just kept hoping they'd change, that they'd see what I see. But they're lost, Rachel. They're lost. We drove home in silence after that, but it was a different kind of silence than usual. Not the heavy, dread-filled quiet after family dinners, but something lighter, like a weight had been lifted. That night, Daniel made a post on Facebook that shocked everyone. Tonight, my incredible wife revealed she has PCOS, a hormonal disorder that makes weight loss nearly impossible and fertility difficult. She's been battling this condition while my family has spent 7 years mocking her weight, making cruel comments, and treating her as less than human. I'm ashamed I didn't do more to protect her. To my family. You've lost the privilege of knowing this amazing woman. To anyone else who thinks it's acceptable to comment on someone's body, you never know what battles they're fighting. Do better. Be better. And Rachel, if you're reading this, you are the strongest, most beautiful person I know, and I'm honored to be your husband. The post went viral in our community. Comments poured in from friends, co-workers, even strangers who'd found it through shares. Women with PCOS thanking me for speaking up. People sharing their own stories of family cruelty. Others calling out the Hartmans for their behavior. Jessica was the first to crack. 3 days later, she showed up at our door with a stack of books about PCOS, printed articles, and red-rimmed eyes. I know you said you need space, she said when Daniel answered. But I need to say this in person. I spent the last 3 days researching PCOS. I had no idea. The insulin resistance, the inflammation, the hormonal imbalances. Rachel, you're not fighting weight gain. You're fighting your entire endocrine system, and you're doing it while people like me make you feel like shit. I'm in awe of your strength. I stood behind Daniel, wary. What do you want, Jessica? Nothing. I want nothing from you. I just wanted to give you these. She handed me an envelope. I wrote letters to all my fitness groups, my Instagram followers, everyone, explaining what I did, why it was wrong, and educating about PCOS and other invisible illnesses. I've also signed up to volunteer with the PCOS Challenge, the national support organization, not for forgiveness just because it's right. She turned to leave, then stopped. And Rachel, I deleted all those posts, but I know the damage is done. I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to undo the harm I've caused, not just to you, but to everyone I've judged based on appearance. You've changed me. Thank you for that, even though I didn't deserve the lesson. Robert came next, a week later. He brought medical journals, research studies, and a formal letter of apology. I've been corresponding with leading PCOS researchers, he said. I'm implementing new protocols at my practice for screening and treating hormonal disorders. I've also started referring patients to your support group with your permission. You were right. Doctors fail PCOS patients constantly. We dismiss symptoms, blame weight gain on laziness, ignore the psychological impact. I want to do better. Why? I asked bluntly. Because you're my daughter-in-law, he said simply. And for 7 years, I failed you as both a family member and a medical professional. I can't undo that, but I can make sure I never fail another woman the way I failed you. Evelyn took a month. When she finally called, she was different. Quieter, humbler. I've been seeing a therapist, she said, to understand why I became so fixated on appearance, why I was so cruel. It goes back to my own mother, the pageant world, Decades of being told my only value was in being beautiful. I projected all of that onto you, and it was wrong. Deeply, horribly wrong. Okay, I said, not sure where this was going. I want to ask you something, and you can say no, but would you be willing to come speak to my women's club? About PCOS, about judgment, about the harm we do with our well-meaning comments. I think they need to hear it. I know I needed to hear it. I thought about it for a long time. Maybe. Let me think about it. The holidays approached, and for the first time in 7 years, I wasn't filled with dread. Daniel and I planned a quiet Thanksgiving, just the two of us. But the day before, I made a decision. I want to go to your family's dinner, I told Daniel. Are you sure? We don't have to. They don't deserve... I know, but I think I need to do this. For me, to show them and myself that they can't make me hide anymore. So we went. The atmosphere was different from every other family gathering. Quieter, respectful. Evelyn served me the same portion as everyone else. Jessica complimented my dress without any backhanded comments. Robert asked thoughtful questions about my PCOS support group. It wasn't perfect. There was awkwardness, careful navigation of conversations. But there was also something new. Genuine interest in who I was beyond my appearance. Rachel, Evelyn said as we were leaving, I know I have no right to ask, but do you think you might ever forgive us? Really forgive us? I looked at this woman who'd tormented me for 7 years, who'd made me feel worthless and small, but who was also trying, genuinely trying, to change. I'm working on it, I said honestly. Forgiveness is a process, not a moment, but I see you trying. All of you. That matters. And grandchildren, she asked hesitantly. I know it's not my business, but Daniel and I are exploring our options, I said. IVF, adoption, fostering. PCOS makes things harder, not impossible. But whatever we decide, it'll be our decision, not yours. Of course. I want you to know that any child, biological, adopted, fostered, would be lucky to have you as a mother. The strength you've shown, the grace, the courage. I was so wrong about what makes a good parent. 6 months later, I did speak at her women's club. I told my story to a room full of women who looked like Evelyn, polished, put together, probably harboring their own judgments about weight and worse. I watched some of them shift uncomfortably as I described the impact of their helpful comments, their concerns about health. We live in a world that equates thinness with moral superiority, I said. We assume fat people are lazy, undisciplined, worth less than thin people. We disguise cruelty as concern for health. But you cannot tell someone's health by looking at them. You cannot know their struggles, their medical conditions, their journey. All you can do is choose kindness or cruelty. And too often, we choose cruelty and call it love. After the talk, a woman approached me, tears streaming down her face. My daughter has PCOS, she whispered, and I've been just like Evelyn was to you. Constantly on her about her weight, her diet, her appearance. I thought I was helping. Oh God, what have I done? You've done what you were taught to do, I said gently. But now you know better. So do better. Go home and apologize to your daughter. Tell her she's beautiful and worthy exactly as she is. Support her medical journey without making it about weight. Love her unconditionally. That became my mission. Speaking at events, running my support group, educating people about PCOS and the damage of weight stigma. Daniel came to every talk, sitting in the front row, his pride evident. The Hartman family dynamics shifted dramatically. Jessica became one of the leading PCOS awareness advocates in the fitness community, using her platform to educate about hormonal disorders and body diversity. She'd sent me screenshots of messages from women saying her posts had changed their lives, had made them feel seen for the first time. Robert revolutionized his practice's approach to hormonal disorders. He started hosting free clinics for PCOS patients who couldn't afford specialized care. He'd call me sometimes, asking for input on how to make his office more welcoming for plus-size patients, everything from chair sizes to the language used by staff. Evelyn perhaps changed the most. She became fiercely protective of me, shutting down anyone who dared make a comment about my weight. At one family gathering, a distant cousin made a joke about my portion size, and Evelyn eviscerated her so thoroughly that the cousin left in tears. "No one," Evelyn said firmly, "speaks to my daughter-in-law that way. Rachel is fighting a medical battle you couldn't begin to understand. She's shown more strength and grace in the face of cruelty, including mine, than anyone I've ever met. If you can't see past her size to the incredible person she is, then you're not welcome in my home." It took 2 years of fertility treatments, but Daniel and I finally got pregnant. The high-risk pregnancy was terrifying. PCOS increases the chance of complications. But I had an excellent medical team who treated me with respect and dignity at every size. When we told the Hartmans, Evelyn cried harder than I'd ever seen. "A baby," she kept saying. "You're giving me a grandchild after everything I did to you." "We're giving you a grandchild because we want to," I corrected. "Not for you, but for us. And this child will grow up knowing that their worth has nothing to do with their size or appearance. They'll know that bodies come in all shapes and sizes, and that health is more complex than weight. Can you commit to that?" "Yes," all 3 of them said immediately. "Yes." Our daughter was born on a snowy December morning, perfect and tiny and fierce. As I held her for the first time, I whispered promises. "You will never doubt your worth. You will never feel less than because of how you look. You will know that you are loved unconditionally exactly as you are." The Hartmans were there, waiting respectfully in the hallway. When we finally invited them in, Evelyn approached slowly, reverently. "She's beautiful," she whispered, "just like her mother." "All babies are beautiful," I said, testing her. "Yes," she agreed immediately. "All babies, all people. Beauty isn't about size or shape. It's about the light inside. And Rachel, you shine so bright. You always have. I was just too blind to see it." As I watched my former tormentors coo over my daughter, I realized something. People can change. Not always, not easily, but sometimes, when confronted with their cruelty, they can choose to be better. The family dinner where they laughed at my weight feels like a lifetime ago. That night I broke 7 years of silence and shattered their worldview. But more importantly, I freed myself from shame, from silence, from the belief that I had to hide my struggles to be worthy of love. My PCOS hasn't gone away. I still fight my hormones every day. My weight still fluctuates despite my best efforts. But now I have a family, chosen and biological, who sees me for who I am, not what I weigh. At our daughter's first birthday party, I overheard Evelyn talking to her book club friends. "That's my daughter-in-law, Rachel. She runs a nonprofit for women with hormonal disorders. She's the strongest person I know. We're so lucky Daniel found her." No mention of my weight, no backhanded compliments, just pride and love. Daniel caught my eye and winked. We'd survived the worst and come out stronger. Our daughter would grow up in a family that had learned hard lessons about judgment and grace, cruelty and kindness, the danger of assumptions, and the power of truth. That night at the family dinner, they laughed at my weight, but I had the last laugh, not through revenge or cruelty, but through courage. The courage to speak my truth, to demand better, to refuse to hide. And in the end, that truth didn't just set me free. It transformed an entire family. Looking back, I'm almost grateful for that horrible dinner. Not for the pain it caused, but for the revelation it sparked. Because sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. Sometimes breaking your silence breaks the chains that bind you. And sometimes the people who hurt you most can become your fiercest advocates, but only if you're brave enough to show them the truth they refuse to see. My name is Rachel. I have PCOS. I'm a size 18. I'm a mother, a wife, an advocate, and a survivor. And I'm worthy of love, respect, and dignity at every size, in every moment, forever. That's my truth. And now, finally, it's theirs too. What would you do if your family constantly mocked something you couldn't control? Would you suffer in silence or speak your truth, even if it meant shattering relationships? Tell me in the comments below. And if you're fighting an invisible illness while facing judgment from those who should love you most, know this. You are not alone, you are not weak, and you deserve so much better. Subscribe and share this story with anyone who needs to hear that their medical struggles don't define their worth. Next week, I'll be sharing another powerful story about a woman whose husband's gym buddy turned out to be sabotaging her weight loss journey in the most shocking way. Until then, remember, the people who truly love you will support you through every battle, visible or invisible. You deserve nothing less.